So my meditative journey began here. The year was 1977. I was in Santa Barbara, California, and I listened to this album every single day, age 21. It drove my roommates crazy. I was fascinated by the lyrics about expanded consciousness and meditation, and began practicing meditation on my own. My next mentor was this fellow, Jack Kerouac, of all people. His book, The Dharma Bums, which was way ahead of its time, crossed my path. In it, the Kerouac-based hero is meditating one evening, and he spits into a puddle and sees the stars reflected there ripple. He asks himself, if those aren't real, how do we know the ones above are? This set me off on a path, wondering if there was a greater reality than the one we saw day to day. This is a traditional Zen brush painting called The Tracks of the Ox. It represents searching for enlightenment. Bodhidharma is the founder of the Zen lineage. He looks a little bit perplexed, as I felt the next 7 years as I immersed myself in all of the mind-body practices of the human potential movement in California at the time. One day I was practicing mindfulness in my kitchen, washing the dishes, when all of a sudden the world seemed to open up, and I understood that the dishes were not individual, but were all part of one inextricable, perfect reality. I set off with a group called the Great Peace March across the country. A group of 600 activists walked 3,000 miles over 9 months through all kinds of weather, through the collapse of our founding organization, through almost running out of food and eating nothing but lentil spread and donated white hamburger buns for weeks. You can imagine what it's like to walk in a group when that's what you're eating. That's where I lived for those 9 months. At the end of the march, I decided to try and write a book about the experience, and a friend invited me to live with his family in New Rochelle. We'd reached Washington, D.C. at the end of the walk. And his father, Dr. Roy Finch, was a well-known professor of religion and philosophy who became an important mentor to me. In that year, I utterly failed to write the book about the Great Peace March. My health completely collapsed. I developed what's now called chronic fatigue syndrome. At the time, it was just like having a permanent flu. Nobody knew what it was. And I turned 30 and thought my life was over. Fortunately, every holy book in the world was in Dr. Finch's house. Reading through it, I happened upon Zen once again and realized I'd better find a Zen teacher. This is Maezumi Roshi on the left, who became my first Zen teacher. John Daido Loori on the right became my American Zen teacher, one of the first Americans authorized to teach Zen in this country. When I got back to California, determined to find a Zen teacher, a friend met me at the airport, and without knowing I was looking for a Zen teacher, handed me a book by this man, Peter Matheson, called Nine-Headed Dragon River. It's his Zen journals. Maezumi Roshi was one of his teachers, and all I had to do to find a teacher was look under Z in the LA phone book, and I was hooked up. I decided to go to Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado, a contemplative-based university where I was after my master's degree in writing. And it's a Tibetan institution fundamentally, but no sooner did I show up there than all of these American Zen teachers started to show up. This was the late 80s, and these are all first-generation Zen teachers that I got to know. That's Jerry Shishinwick, who's my current teacher now. And Bernie Glassman coming up, who was, I think, the second American to be authorized to teach Zen in this country. Kind of amazing people who kind of single-handedly hauled this ancient tradition into the 20th century. I volunteered to pick them up at the airport, became their assistant while they were at Naropa, and basically got to know them all very well. After Naropa, I decided to study further with John Daido Loori. This is one of the first American Zen monasteries in Mount Trumper, New York, near Woodstock, where I spent many years, if you pieced it all together over the next couple of decades, studying very disciplined and rather austere traditional Zen practices. My teacher, to my surprise, encouraged me to share what I'd learned, and the book on the right, The Hope Valley Hubcap King, is a novel I worked on for 12 years after the Peace March. Finally won the Hemingway Award for a first novel. The one on the left is a collection of American Zen stories that I gathered by traveling all over the country and talking to Zen teachers. This is the beautiful woman I met along the way, Tanya, my wife, and a good Zen teacher friend of mine once said, "You don't need a Zen teacher if you have a wife." So she's become my life's companion and a major teacher to me. Everything changed in 2009 when my primary Zen teacher, John Daido Loori, passed away. I'd already begun teaching Zen in a secular way at the University of New Mexico and Taos and in other venues. I was convinced that to bring these practices into the 21st century, we needed to find new ways of presenting them. These are my current teachers, Shishinwek on the right and his wife, Shinko Perez, on the left. I find it very fitting that I have a woman teacher now because I firmly believe that the inclusion of the feminine is a key to bringing these ancient practices into the 21st century. So I believe it's the time of the feminine. They encouraged me to also experiment with sharing these teachings more widely, which I've done through my books and also through the founding of the nonprofit group, the Sage Institute for Creativity, Consciousness, and Environment. I founded with Mirabai Starr some years ago. And we are starting a training program for meditation teachers. These are our board members. I'm sure most of you know some of these people, and you can ask them about how you could get involved with what we're doing, bringing these practices into the 21st century, expanding consciousness at a time when it's sorely needed in this crazy, mixed-up world. So we believe that's the way forward, and we have all sorts of things you can get involved with. Thank you.